Maddie and the other kids that are like stuck in this high school purgatory, they are on a journey of acceptance and letting go of the past. Where do you think your character is in this journey when Maddie met him?
That's a great question. I think he's pretty content for the most part. I mean, he looks back at his past a lot. I don't think he's too concerned about his future. I think he's sort of understood that this is his place. But when Maddie comes, and she dies and she comes into the afterlife, I think his perspective changes a little bit and he starts questioning things a little bit more. And he takes a deeper dive into his life on, before he died, and his life on Earth in the real world. And he takes a deeper dive into the relationships he has and how that may have affected him. But I think that she definitely changes his perspective a lot. And that's a great question, by the way, because I hadn't thought about where he was in that journey, really.
We only have glimpses of Simon's and Maddie's relationship before her death, but we can clearly see that their bond was really strong. In which way would you describe that bond, and how do you think it is instrumental of the development of their story and the investigation?
You know, their bond is the most moving thing to me about School Spirits, because at least in my preparation, the first thing I remembered was the show was written by a brother and a sister, Nate and Megan. And I think that today people are very resistant against the dynamic of a man and a woman being friends. There's always a sneaky intention. There's something suspicious. It's complicated, but I think they can be friends. And the story is it's like a sandbox. They met in the sandbox in third grade, as what I was told. And I'll just quickly say that they are not at all like each other. They dress differently, they talk differently. They're almost like two different people, but because they met at such a young age, they're able to see each other just as like a soul, you know? So I think that if you go to a high school today, a lot of friends wear the same shoes, wear the same clothes, they imitate each other. But Maddie and Simon, they met just young enough to never need to copy each other, but just be like twin flames, you know? So I think that very close young bond that formed early is the one that sustains for a lifetime, and that's why he fights as hard as he can.
I love that. And I like that for Nicole, Maddie was the kind of friend who believed in her so much that she could see her talents and her strength before she could ever admit that she had to herself, that she had those talents. How do you think her disappearance impacted on her, and how you think your character evolved during the season?
I think her disappearance impacted her tremendously, to the point that she had this overwhelming hope and belief that, she is alive. Like, stop telling me otherwise. I'm going to find my friend. And like you said, she was probably the one, maybe only person who believed in what she could do. Like, who knows if her being Latina, I don't know if you know, but like Latina households, when it comes to the arts, it's not really a thing. It's like a lawyer, an engineer, a doctor, but when it comes to the arts, it's usually there's not a lot of support. So having that kind of support and then losing it, oh my gosh, that probably, like, she was probably in denial, like, like, oh my gosh, that's like her only best friend. That was a girl besides Simon, but I think she has to learn acceptance and growth, and just learning from maybe her mistakes, and decisions that she,
there are a lot of flashback scenes.
A lot of flashback scenes, and just learning from all the experiences that she did go through when she was alive.
So your character share secrets. And we can say that also their bond is kind of shaped around these secrets. How do you think that Maddie's death has an impact on them as individuals and on their relationship?
I think Xavier had a lot of feelings for Maddie. He really, really cared about her. It's such a complicated situation with Claire. I think where we find him, he's clouded with a lot of regret and shame, and yeah, that's something has to grapple with throughout the season.
And I think Claire can see that Xavier is struggling. I think she really cares about him and tries to help in her best way possible. I also think that she does really care. It hits Claire that Maddie's gone, I think. Claire is just so badass. She is so confident. I really love, I love the confidence that she brings into a room and just unapologetically herself. And I've learned from Claire from that.
I really like his attitude and his spirit and the way that he's really active to trying to help Maddie to adjust to this new afterlife, as we can say. How do you think he helps her when she arrives?
Well, I think, Wally's like a puppy dog, he always keeps his spirits up, and he's always just looking to have a good time. He doesn't really take things too seriously. I think he doesn't really understand at first why he feels so connected to Maddie. But as he gets to know her more and they talk more, he realizes that they have a lot more similarities than he thought. And she lets his walls down a little bit, and he brings her walls down a little bit. And I think that he just wants to help her. I mean, Wally's a good guy at heart, and he doesn't have much in this afterlife, but he cares a lot about his friends, and he just feels bad for her, and he wants to help her solve this mystery and also just feel better about being there in general. But I think Wally's just a kind-hearted person, and he's just drawn to Maddie, and he wants to help her, make sense of her situation.
Thank you for your time.
I hope that the connection was all right, but I love you.
It was okay.
Ciao. Thank you for everything.
Ciao.